Is that the first tournament with many tier 1 teams that they've won since, like, Masters Reykjavik?
I think my one question still remains Carpe, because I think he was still clearly the worst player on this team by a pretty large margin.
Maybe Flashback is the Demon 1 of next year. In a couple of years' time, we'll look back at the VODs now and think that the teams were dog shit. Like, the stuff that they were doing just makes no sense.
We're importing the Korean players to Japan just because they know more about the game. They're, like, more structured. Maybe the export from America is just hype then.
What have you won?
Yeah.
Who the are you to say anything? You've
Right.
not won shit.
That's the change that DRX needs. They need an
They need a
American.
yapper.
They need an American to come in and yell at the players. Hello. And welcome to Plat Chat. Just kidding, it's Cosmic Divide, episode 16. Me, joined by TMV, as usual. And this is going to be a little sad for everybody. This is the last episode of the year. Last episode of the year.
Did we start this year? Did we do any in 2022?
I don't know. I mean, the fact that we've only done 17 episodes.
Yeah, we probably did though all this year, I think.
Yeah, probably did it all this year.
I can't remember.
But yeah, it's been a good year. I think we've covered some good stuff. The podcast's doing well. You know, number 2 podcast in the world of any podcast.
Yeah.
Also, number 2 podcast in the world about Valorant. And yeah, like I said, this is the last one that we're gonna do this year. I'm gonna be leaving in about a week for 3 weeks, so I'll be back like right before the start of the season, and then we'll get right into the kickoff tournaments. But yeah, TMV, how you doing today? And do you want to introduce our very first topic?
I'm doing okay. I think it's funny that you think that the season starts in 3 weeks, because that's when people thought the season was going to start. That's when tier 2 starts, my friend. Tier 1
That's part of the
starts
season.
Well, yeah, I guess. But tier 1 starts in mid-Feb. Change it right. Anyway, yes. First thing we're going to do is just a very quick recap of AfreecaTV. Of course, this is kind of ancient news at this point. Sentinels win a tournament. Is that the first, like, tournament with many tier 1 teams that they've won since, like, Masters Reykjavik?
Yeah, I think somebody pointed that out on, maybe it was either the Plat Chat podcast or something else that I was listening to, where it is the first international tournament that they've won since Reykjavik in 2021.
That is quite crazy. Tell me, what did you think? Give me your quick take on Sentinels, how they're doing, where you think they'll finish, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. I mean, so first of all, I just want to say a shout out to the tournament, because the tournament was run quite well. And generally speaking, when a tournament is like held on a different platform than Twitch, a lot of times there's like, it seems like it's done for maybe like budget reasons, and so there's like tech issues and all sorts of other stuff. The Koreans have this down to a science. It was super smooth. The production was really good. The panels were good. The death segments were good. The casting was good. Everything about the tournament that I saw, at least, was good. They even had like the shoulder content interviews in between and stuff like that with teams. So I approve of the tournament. It was easily my favorite tournament to watch during the off season. All the other ones have been kind of like, whatever. Yeah. As far as the teams go, I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown of my thoughts on each team that appeared here. So I think Sentinels, starting with Sentinels as the winners, I thought they looked quite good. I thought that, in particular, Zellsis and John Cutie looked extremely good. I thought they were the standouts just out of maybe like all of the players at the tournament, probably, for me. Yep. And I think that it's probably a good thing to have your two sort of like hyped up Zoomers be the least exciting players on the team as you go to victory, in my opinion, because that means you're not relying on sort of like these crazy high variance type players to win you the game. You're relying on your structure and like your support players, your role players doing their jobs correctly. And I think that basically this bodes very well for Sentinels, but I think the one caveat is that they also looked like the team that has been playing the most outside of EDG, and they're kind of a different story. But they look like the team that has the most reps as a team out of all the teams.
Which they almost certainly do.
Yeah, and they are, is the thing. So I think there is a little bit of hesitation. Like, it's not quite an even playing field. Let's just put it that way. Paper X, I mean, they were kind of trolling the whole tournament and they still looked insane. So I think the future looks very good for them. I think Moniette fits into their team quite well. It was nice to see Jing play again, honestly. Like he's truly the best Raze player we've ever seen, period. And I don't think there's any debate on that in my opinion. Moniette probably will not fill those shoes, but I think that he fits into their system and seems to be vibing with the team in a good way. So I think they will be very good this year. Also, they're still doing cool stuff. They've got weird comps and they're doing cool stuff, so that also bodes well. T1 was probably the most surprising team to me out of all of them, just considering.
Oh, surprising how?
The most surprising positively, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know what to expect from this team coming into this tournament or coming into this year. Obviously, they've made some very strange roster moves and stuff like that in the last couple of months as well. And I thought they looked okay. Like, I thought they looked like a team that has a pretty high level of firepower, like compared to all teams internationally. I think they can stack up relatively well at an international level, and certainly in Pacific, I think they can probably just like aim diff maybe like 30 or 40% of the teams in the league. Saya looks really good. I think Excurate is potentially, on for having like a rookie of the year type season potentially. Not that he's actually a rookie to attack FPS, but to certainly do Valorant.
The 20. How old is he? 25, something like that.
Yeah.
25-year-old rookie.
I think my one question still remains Carpe, because I think he was still clearly the worst player on this team by a pretty large margin, and the fact that he is sort of like he has to be in the team because he's just the person who's calling the shots is maybe an issue. So we'll see.
If I can just quickly talk about T1, because I think it was pretty interesting that like when I went on Plat Chat and Sideshow was talking about T1, like he seemed really down on there. I found it a very weird juxtaposition of his position on it, because he seemed quite down on T1, but at the same time quite hopeful about Team Liquid. And to me, well, T1 beat Team Liquid, right? And I know it was a close game and it could have gone either way, but T1 did beat them, and to me that was kind of like that to me kind of showed like I expect Team Liquid, and I think that's what it was. I think for whatever reason Josh was expecting Team Liquid to be like the 6th, 7th best team in EMEA, but I just don't think that's what most people think, right? I think most people think Liquid will be good, and you'll come on to them in a second, but like T1, I think even if it is just, these teams haven't scrimmed a lot and they're not like refined or whatever, which T1 definitely weren't. They were doing stuff that didn't make a lot of sense, and they won a lot of clutches and they had a lot of crazy plays. Like any game, I know people were like going, "Oh my god, this game had like 7 aces or whatever. What a great game!" But when you really think about it, like an ace means that again, that's another kill that hasn't been traded, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And that's not normally great. And obviously some aces are just like, wow, what a play.
Right.
But quite a few of those aces were like, okay. Like, oh, an ace. Cool. Like it was like, oh, a team playing perfectly there. That's probably not an ace.
Right.
So but it still gives me some hope that, okay, in just a brawl, T1 can play against Team Liquid and still look okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, and maybe the most important thing for T1 going forward is that sort of like all their new pieces, Excurate, Izu, and Rossy, all had like pretty good individual performances. Granted, it was like the individual plays that were winning the games, but at the very least, at an individual level, it's not like they downgraded anything with these guys in. So yeah, I mean, will this team be good? I don't know. Like, it's really
Pacific
hard to
is
say.
going to be such a weird league.
Yeah.
Like, I really, especially with the DRX changes, people are going to be down on DRX. They still really might finish second. Like, I don't think they'll be challenging Paper X, but they very easily could, and I would say probably will be the second best team still.
Yeah, or Bleed stocks on the rise potentially.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Bleed, but I still think DRX are probably still favored to do pretty well. Anyway, keep going.
One last thing I did want to say about T1 is just maybe the new, how like when you start importing players, it's like we've got, we're importing the Korean players to Japan just because they know more about the game, they're like more structured, they know how to like run strats and stuff like that. maybe the export from America is just hype men. You put Zellsis on a team, they immediately level up. You put Rossy on a team, he's yelling, he hypes up them.
That's one thing I did want to talk about as well. The Rossy, like they gave like more snippets of comms, it felt like, in this tournament. And so, like in the replays and stuff of rounds, you would hear the comms. Like Zellsis was always talking. He's like, oh, you hear him every single round. He's talking. Whether he's alive, he's dead, it doesn't matter. He's talking. It felt like Rossy was kind of the same for this team, where he's talking. You know, he's just talking. And I do think that is a massive deal. It's a massive deal. And we've all been there. And to act like pros are any different, I think, is foolish. Like, if you're in a ranked game and you're down, 8-2, people stop coming. People stop, everyone just starts doing their own stuff and just gets annoyed and is just doing their own stuff. Like, to think that doesn't happen in like in a pro setting, obviously not to the same degree. Like, they'll still talk and stuff, but it's not the same, right? The team who's winning that 8-2 is going to be probably talking a lot more and getting the vibes up a lot more than the team that's down. And I think you're right that having a Zellsis, or what seems to be like Rossy as well, who's just going to yap no matter what, who's just going to be there yapping away no matter what, I think can be a big help, especially for a team like speaking a second language for most of them, right? So he can just constantly be talking and just, getting everyone on the same page and stuff. I think it makes sense. It was a weird pickup, when they did it, but having seen him play and seen him yap along, I can see why they did it.
That's the change that DRX needs. They need an American. They need an American to come in and yell at the players to hype them up. So speaking of DRX, I mean, I guess I kind of skipped over Liquid. So I'll do Liquid first. Liquid, as the resident Liquid hater, nothing that I saw made me super confident in this team. Honestly, I thought that essentially the rounds that they won were basically Yampy getting 4 randomly from like some one and done position.
You will do that though.
A hero play here or there from Mystic. I mean, Nats had a couple of maps where he just did Nat stuff and like took over the game. I don't have any questions answered about whether this is going to be like Apex or whether this is going to be Liquid, like who's in charge of this team? Is it Enzo? Is it Kobe Steph?
There was small clues. I'm not sure about every map, but they did run, I'm pretty sure they ran Apex's like Sova comp on Lotus. So at least it seems like there is some like Enzo influence there of like, perhaps if Enzo really believes in a comp, then they're just going to stick with what Apex did essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they definitely were running some Apex stuff. I think there's still some questions for me about Keiko. I wouldn't say that he's a tier 1 duelist to me. Like, that might be kind of harsh, but I think he's one of those players that's obviously talented, but I think he's pretty raw and he's going to get exposed when he's playing like an Auspice or a Durka or something like that. Like pretty heavily.
Is that just because he's from the UK and you just refuse to believe that anyone?
No,
from
man,
the UK
I believe in you. I do a show with you. I know there's some talent over there. But yeah, moving on to DRX before this recap gets too long.
Let's do DRX at the end and just kind of wrap that up with what's going on there. Talk about EDG first, and then we'll finish with DRX.
EDG, I mean, just give them a break. Send them on holiday. Fly them to, I don't know, where do Chinese people usually go on holiday? Probably to like, I don't know. Go to Australia
China,
or Singapore, I don't know, Philippines, something like that. Give them some, I don't know if they're of age, but give them some Mai Tais or margaritas on the beach or whatever. Have them go to a spa, relax. These guys just need a break. There's no way to judge them from this, in my opinion. Like,
no.
They just looked like they weren't having fun, and they weren't having fun. And so it's very hard to win when you're not having fun. We can just quickly touch on Fancy United and FullSense. I mean, I think FullSense is maybe one of my front runners to ascend in Pacific next year, just because I think they have a lot of experience and good quality players. Sure, they went out to DRX, who maybe didn't do that well overall. But then they also lost to PaperX, which is like, you're losing to PaperX. And Fancy United, I mean, you said they were going to do some funny stuff, and they did some funny stuff, and it didn't work. So that's just.
Well, I mean, they had to play with a sub and their coach. Like, that's a pretty rough rough deal. I
Yeah,
was so sad because I really did think like with their full team, who knows, that weird
right.
stuff. I was excited for it, but oh well. Now
But
DRX.
yeah,
Let's get to it.
now DRX. So this was apparently the last tournament that they were ever going to play as like the storied DRX roster. So they ended up
Well, for
losing.
those of you who don't know, who've been living under a rock, DRX have benched Zest and RB and have
Yep.
brought in Foxy9 and Flashback to replace them.
Yes, I mean they haven't actually technically announced Foxy 9. They did like that announcement
Imagine if it
video for
was someone else.
Flashback.
King?
I mean they did the
We'll
whole
get to that as
announcement
well.
video. They did this whole announcement video for Flashback, but they didn't actually post anything for Foxy 9 as far as I'm aware.
I guess because maybe he was already on the team. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so. Or maybe, I mean, who knows? Like I'm just the whole like I wish that the Korean organization and esports orgs were just like not such black boxes. I wish I could see inside like some of these decisions. Like what are, obviously they're having meetings to decide like were they like RB and Zest, like if you guys look really good, you keep your job, like, or was it like you guys are done no matter what, and that's why they didn't play very well this tournament, or like who knows? But regardless, Zest and RB out, which to me is very bizarre that you would remove the two players that have been the most flexible on your team. Like, assuming that you're buying into Valorant as being a game that is going to get more complex the longer that it's around, you would think that you want more flexible players in general. Because I don't think that you can look at like Stacks, Mako, Buzz versus RB and Zest and say that there's like this huge skill gap between them. I mean, sure, maybe within those roles specifically, there's a little bit of a gap, but it's not like Buzz is like 10 times the player that RB is. It's not that Mako is infinitely better at Viper than Zest is. But for some reason, the two players that could be the most flexible, at least so far, are the ones that get replaced. And my only hope is that DRX is going to do like some full reinvention of how they think about the game and like really buy into just, we're going to play this game super differently, even if it means that we're less flexible. It's like, yeah, we're going to run like 4 initiators and a smokes from now on. And we just have to have these players to do that, which it sounds like a lot of cope.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. To me, it was very interesting that, there's a lot of, there seems to be quite a divide in this though, in the community, in terms of whether this is a good decision or not. And I can definitely see like both points of view, right? The side who is saying, they need to make a change are kind of, saying like, hey, this team wasn't going to win anything next year if they stick together, right? Like you don't know how good a Foxy9 and Flashback roster could be. Maybe Flashback is the Demon 1 of next year, right? You don't know, right? When Demon 1 came in for BCJ, everyone was like, why are they replacing this really good player? Literally, when BCJ got replaced by Demon 1, everyone said, why are they getting rid of their best player for this complete unknown Jet 1 trick? That's what people said, right? Just think about that storyline in your head looking back now. Think of how crazy that is. And people were saying that, hey, BCJ is EG's best player. Like how crazy that is to think about now, right? Yep. You don't know that that's not going to happen here, right? Even if RB and Zest are good, maybe Flashback's just the future, right? It's possible. I'm not saying that will happen, and of course, comparing him to Demon 1 is unfair. But you don't know, that could be a case that does play out like that, and then it looks pretty good. But on the other side, I think a lot of people are saying like, Termy is the problem. He is kind of keeping the team back, maybe because they are too strict in the way that they approach the game. And I thought it was interesting when I was on Pledget that Chobra said, like, there's no other coach to bring in from Korea, because there just isn't like that experienced, clear other option that you would have. Everyone else kind of has, they aren't experienced enough, or, the players wouldn't necessarily expect them. And I always think like, if you bring in a less experienced coach and a team like DRX is like not respecting them, the first thing I would say as a coach to them, if you feel like they're not respecting you, is what have you won?
Yeah.
Well, who the fuck are you to say anything? You've not won shit.
Yep.
Like, well done. You've got like a couple Korean challengers tournament wins or whatever, right? Who gives a shit? No one cares. Like that would be my first thing. Like fair enough, Fnatic, right? If Fnatic are like they're not going to respect their coach, maybe fair enough, right?
Right.
Because they're Fnatic. But at the same time, if you've got a good culture within your team, you'll find a way to make it work with anyone, right? Like you just don't imagine like Elmer Putty is like a weird choice for Fnatic, right? Or a bit out of left field, and it has gone from a middling Gen G side to now being the coach of Fnatic. But you don't feel like the Fnatic players are going to be disrespecting him, right? There hasn't been like any of like, oh, there's no way that Fnatic are going to listen to this guy. Because they seemingly have a good culture, right? And when you've got good leadership like Boaster or something, you just feel like, yeah, that's not going to happen, right? Boaster seems like a nice guy. He's going to work with, as best as he can with the coach. Like that's how it's going to be. So if DRX, if that's true that the players would like not respect hiring a different coach or something
That's
like that,
a bigger problem than
that's
anything
a fucking
else.
massive problem.
Yeah.
Get rid of whoever would be the problem then. They're the problem. Like that's a big
Yeah.
problem if that's the case.
And
so
it makes me wonder if all of this just stems back to Glow retiring, because he was like the elder statesman for this team when it was formed, and they're essentially the same team as they have been like ever since he retired, right? And they just shifted Stacks into the IGL because there was nobody else really that could step into that, and it was a bunch of young, very talented players with Glow sort of leading the way. And then obviously I think RB, I'm pretty sure it was RB, Stacks, and Zest all had Counter-Strike background with Glow potentially, or like at least there's some sort of rapport there. And so maybe it's just like this like leadership vacuum has just never been filled. And so it's like within the team, and you would think like that's kind of the coach's job, but I think obviously there is always just going to be this difference between like coach and player because you're not in the server. So like if the leadership vacuum is never filled in the server, it just can't be filled unless somebody steps into it. And maybe that's just never been done. And that's kind of like the main problem with this team. And just to bring something on screen, you're not going to be able to see this, TMV, but I just had to look at the DRX history. So let me pull this on over your face real quick. The graph of DRX's rating since, I don't know, when was the first one? 2022. So it's like pretty much all up until May 2023. And then since May, basically since the very beginning of last year, essentially, it has just been a downward slide like the entire way. There's been a few spikes of like them kind of coming back.
So I'm going to guess that this is like they get to the grand final of Pacific, they lose to Paper Rex, and then it's just kind of a steady...
I think it was a loss to Secret actually that started it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's like down, a little bit up, down, a little bit up, down, a little bit up, and it's just been consistently down. Obviously, this is VLR rating, which doesn't mean that much, but it is kind of an interesting sort of representation of the path of this team over the last year or so. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Any final thoughts on DRX? Like, is this gonna change anything? I guess your short answer is maybe not. Like, but
to me, like I think that they are a team. You're right. The players, I don't think, are the leaders. I think Termi is the leader of this team. You know, when like Boaster is the leader of Fnatic.
Right.
Like the game is built around Boaster's vision.
Angel's the leader, FNS is the leader. Like there's a very clear in-game leader.
Yeah,
right?
I think that for DRX, the leader is Termi. Right? They've had like Zest IGL for this team for a bit, and then it was Stacks. So they've had multiple IGLs as well within the same team. So you know that it's like, probably more on Termi in terms of how they approach the game. And I just feel like if that's gonna continue, and he's still going to be leading the team, I just think it's not even that their approach to the game is bad or wrong. I just think that it's not the best for them. That they could learn from like a Paper Rex who like play the game for how they want to. Right? I feel like it feels like DRX are kind of stuck in that mold of having a vision of like, well, this is how, it should be played, rather than like, this is what's best for us.
Right.
And Valorant right now, it's not Counter-Strike. It hasn't existed for that long. Like, people don't know the best ways to play Valorant right now. In a couple of years' time, we'll be looking back again. This is what I always say. In a couple of years' time, we'll look back at the VODs now and think that the teams were dog shit. Like, the stuff that they were doing just makes no sense, and it's dog shit. And right now, we don't know why that is. But it's like we look back now at 2021 and go, those teams were fucking shit.
Yeah.
That's how we'll be in 2 years. We'll look back at 2023 and be like, those teams are fucking shit. How weren't they doing this obvious stuff? Hopefully, yeah. But I'm pretty sure we will.
Yeah, I mean, because I did an interview with Anders recently, and I asked him this question, because, like, obviously he's kind of known for innovating comps and stuff like that. And I was like, do you think that in 2 or 3 years we're going to get to this point where, it is going to be like this crazy realization of, like, comp versus comp, teams are switching out comps to, like, counter strat the team that they're playing against because the agents work good against what that team is playing, and, like, because we both agree that basically at this point the skill ceiling of Valorant, as far as, like, mechanics go, is, like, we're getting pretty close to players being, like, really, really, really good mechanically at TAC FPS and, like, playing the game and shooting the game, but we're at, like, 2% as far as creativity and like, the strategic, like, the MOBA or, like, the hero shooter part of the game is, like, it's not even being explored at all outside of, like, 2 or 3 teams. And yeah, I mean, every team has the opportunity right now to, like, create Valorant in their identity,
and it will work.
Everybody is just copying 2 or 3 teams, and DRX was a team that was creating Valorant in their identity initially, but now they're not. Now they just play stock standard, and it's not very good.
Yeah, and then that's the thing, right? People say about Paper Rex, like, when they run a comp or play in a certain way, they say, oh yeah, but that's Paper Rex. But, like, you could do that, right? You could do whatever it is that you think is the best. And right now, because I said the game isn't played at, like, a super, super high level that, there's no way to beat it. Paper Rex are the great example, right? Paper Rex overheat a ton, right? They make stupid decisions. They throw so many rounds, essentially.
Yeah.
But because they just stick to kind of their plan and play, and this is the big thing as well, they play comps that suit their play style, right? They play double duelist on fucking Ascent when no one else does, right? But it suits the way that they play. But the thing is, you'll get another team who does play. This is my big thing about Koi, and I'm going to be on Koi for this next year as well, by the way. If they continue to play super, super slow, right, that's fine. I've got no problem with that. If that's the way you want to approach the game, that's fine. Play comps that suit that. Don't
give
play
me three smokes and 2 sentinels.
Don't play fucking, normal standard comps and play in a very different style. Like, do Paper Regs. If you're going to play in a different style, play a comp that suits that style. And then that's fine. And it'll marry up together and you'll probably be a lot better for it. So I think that DRX, for me, if I was in charge of DRX, if they were like, TMV, sort us out, I would say, what are you good at? You're good at big site execs, like team fights, like everyone's going for that stuff, right? We've got some of the best retakes you've ever seen, stuff like that. I'd say fucking lean into it, right?
Yep.
Play comps that suit that kind of style. Play us, if that means you have to play a faster style on the attacking side, do it, right?
Yep.
And look, if people can't stop your execs and you keep getting the spike down, that's good. Like, you don't need to, like, oh, but we need to default for 60 seconds and have 2 people die first before we panic. Like, no, just do the stuff that you are best at, right? And if I was in charge of DRX, I'd say, get working on a ton of different execs and work on it on multiple different comps as well. So when people try to anti-strat one of your execs, well, now we're playing comp B on that map and it looks very different and you can't, right? And that will be difficult for them to then, kind of counter what you're doing as well. That's what I would do if I were them. But my hope is, like, stopped with this team because I know that they're not going to do that. I know that that's not what my dream for them is not going to happen.
Well, that's very sad. Onto another thing that makes you very sad. King is no longer on a team.
Yes. T1 release King. Now, I've been on this beat for a while.
You're like a grizzled, like, flat foot gumshoe detective.
I'm a Vietnam veteran at this point. Yeah. Of this story. I thought it was really interesting, and this is why sometimes you go on, you hear little things in the scene every so often. Every so often I've got like a Twitter DM from someone, by the way, of like
Mm,
when I've said something about a player, like, oh, I wonder why this player isn't recruited or something like that, and I'll get a little Twitter DM from someone who knows, and they're like, well, there's a pretty fucking good reason because
uh-huh.
there are, yeah, there's a reason, and I thought it was so interesting when Choba was basically said like, hey, King isn't the best teammate. And
Yep.
that's why he's not on these teams, right? And it makes sense, but
Yeah.
from the outside to me before, it's like, I don't know if he's just getting fucked and unlucky, right? It's
Right. You just see
possible.
him play in the server and he
Yeah, you
seems
just see
really
what's in the
good. Yeah.
server, yeah, and he's good, right?
Yep.
So it makes some sense. I still think it didn't make any sense for T1 why they did this anyway, right? That to me shows that they were just completely uncertain about what they were gonna do. Because they signed King when he was a free agent. They did not need to sign him, right? If they knew that they were gonna go with an English speaking roster, why would you sign this Korean player who apparently doesn't have the best English and isn't the best teammate? It
Right.
doesn't make any fucking sense. So clearly at some point they've had a complete change of mind, right? During the offseason, which isn't a great sign, to be honest. That's already a bit like, okay, so we had no idea what we were doing at the start, and we changed our mind. Um,
Right. I
I
mean,
mean, look.
to put my oh, sorry, go ahead. You finish your thought.
Oh well, I was just gonna say, look, it's a good thing that they have released him, right, and given him a chance. It's still
Mhm.
not great that it's come in December,
Right.
right? Like, because he's still not going to be playing. He's still probably not going to find his way onto a tier one roster this season. Luckily, this season, they've changed the rules, so he's not going to get yayed, right, and not be allowed to play in tier one. If a team
Right.
does want to pick him up midway through the season, they now can, which is obviously thank God, because that doesn't make any fucking sense why that wasn't the case anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at least they released him, they gave him a chance, but it just shows like to me it was just an example of like, okay, T1 at the start of the offseason had literally fucking no clue what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe to counterpoint that a little bit, what I could see, this is going to be me putting on like my kind of conspiracy theory hat, but this is like
There we go.
just from what I know about like how teams work, this is probably what I see as maybe what happened at this team.
Go on.
Like they come into the season, they're like, we're going full Korean roster, right? We've got
Hmm.
Carpe, we're picking up Izu, we're getting Saya, we have Saya, we've got
Yeah.
Zeta, and then we're gonna bring in King, and that's our Korean
Hmm.
roster. And there was probably somebody being like, well, let's try out Xcurate. Let's try him out and
Yeah.
see if he's good. And then he's insanely good and he's
Yeah.
destroying in scrims. And they're not sure whether they're getting him because there's other teams that are also courting him. Is he going to Paper X? Is he going to Bleed? Nobody really knows. Suddenly, they give him an offer. They're like, we need this guy on the team. He's too good to let go to another team. They give him an offer. He picks T1 over any of the other teams. And they're like, uh-oh. Now we have a player who doesn't speak Korean, but we can't not play him because he's better
Hmm.
than anybody else in his role. And unfortunately for King, he also kind of overlaps with your role because he's a chamber player, and we're going to
Yeah.
probably be leaning into chamber, which means less of King Sentinel on
Hmm.
Cypher and KJ. And King is probably like, well, that kind of blows because I don't really like that. My English is the worst out of anybody in the team. You're kind of
Hmm.
like stepping on my feet. I don't really like that. Now there's some friction in the team. And probably with like a
Yeah.
little bit of time left before this like AfreecaTV tournament and the end of the year when everybody kind of needs to like, all right, these are our rosters. We need to really start practicing for VCT. They're probably like, uh-oh, well, now we have to run an English-speaking roster. We can't
Hmm.
run King. We have problems. We need another player who can speak English. Let's go
Yeah.
find somebody. And they just reach out and like, because one of their coaches is Canadian and like
Yeah.
T1 is sort of like they're kind of like a global org. They have
Yeah.
offices in the US and stuff. And they probably just like put out feelers and Rossy was like one of the feelers and then all of a sudden they bring them together and the team is kind of clicking and stuff is working out and they're just like, all right, this is our roster. All right, King, you're out, you know.
Yeah.
And Zeta always seems to be the type of player that is willing to like take the fall for a team, right?
Mm.
He like left Cloud9 seemingly just because he like wanted to go help T1 build their roster or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know what his
stuck by them.
Yeah, I mean maybe he's fine with it. Maybe he actually
Yeah.
prefers to be in the sub role, like helping coach or something like that. He seems to be like a very team oriented player, and he's always like happy and willing to do whatever the team needs. So maybe he's just like,
He's always smiling.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what his relationship is at this point with the team and stuff like that, but it seems to me that there was probably just this thing where it's like they weren't sure if they were going to get accurate, and then they did, and that caused a huge problem because now they can't be a full Korean team.
Yeah, and also the one team maybe like ever who's like or the one team in VCT who's like going between two languages and very easily could like going from English to Korean for them like wasn't like a massive deal for like the rest of the team because they've been kind of doing it already somewhat last year anyway. So yeah, it was just one of those things, and yeah, that seems like a likely possibility that, you know, like a domino effect. One thing leads to another, and so yeah, that's T1. Still not great, but and T1 is such an odd team because like they were an odd team last year as well in terms of how they did, because I thought that they were shit for most of the year, and then they ended up like making it to Tokyo and champs, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
But yeah, it's quite odd. Anyway, let's move on to another big topic, shall we? Which is the VCT China teams have been announced. And obviously, I mean, this is like, I mean, really, for the future of Valorant, this is the biggest news story of the offseason, really.
Yeah,
because,
a fourth whole league is now there, and access to, you know, one of the biggest population centers in the world.
Yeah. So definitely very interesting. I guess I could just quickly read off the teams, or if you want to put something over my face with the teams, then that's fine as well. But there are some teams, and again, I know fuck all about esports. I'll be honest. The first esport I ever followed was Valorant, and it's still the only esport I follow. So I know fuck all about anything that isn't Valorant related. But maybe you know something from Dota or whatever. But we got FBX, Billy, teams that you might know. EDG are another team you might know. And then you've got JD Gaming, Wolves Esports, Tyloo, Nova Esports, Trace Esports, Titan Esports Club, and All Gamers. And there'll be an Ascension team as well joining to make it 11 teams. Now, what's interesting about this, of course, is that some of these teams, I mean, do some of these teams not even have rosters?
So this is one of the really interesting things that I wanted to talk about with you is that which of these teams are going to be completely different teams when they go into the actual league. So right now, as it stands, I don't think either of us sees Edward Gaming making any roster moves, right?
No, of course not.
I don't think either of us sees Billy or FPX making any roster moves. I mean, there's some possibility, I suppose, that they could, but both of them have looked like okay in the past. And so why would they make any serious moves? Trace Esports was consistently in the top 3 or 4. And they actually are like quite good. Like Fang F is insane. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
High Bay is good. Like this team is really good. I don't think they're gonna make any roster moves.
Yeah. Or certainly not, like they might make one, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about a team like Wolves. Okay. So
I mean,
Wolves.
Yeah, they don't even have a coach.
Wolves, they played 2 matches. They played one time in Act 2 and one time in Act 3. They lost
both times.
4-13 and 1-13. None of these players are being in franchise. There's zero chance any of those players are in franchise. Same type of thing for like All Gamers. They played a couple of games. Most of their players not very good. They played with 2 stand-ins from Korea in the last act of the VCT China Evo tournament, whatever it was. They're probably going to be completely different. Nova probably going to be completely different. JD Gaming, I don't know if they have anybody. They're probably going to be completely different. So out of all these rosters, there's going to be a massive roster move. Like Tyloo, completely different team for sure. It's going to be really interesting to see which players from the Ascension teams, which is the next topic that we should kind of segue into, because the Ascension is announced, and there's 8 Ascension teams, which is Rare Atom, Attacking Soul, Dragon Ranger Gaming, Ninjas in Pajamas, 17 Gaming, Nightwings Gaming, 4 Angry Men, and Keep Best Gaming. 2 of these teams are kind of like not like the others, which is Rare Atom and Attacking Soul, who have been consistently pretty good.
Yeah.
But will they have players poached? you know, these teams could also be different. So I think China is about to get really, really chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, if you go onto like the VLR page and go into like the Chinese rankings, you can kind of see it, right? Even though again, the VLR ranking is by no means like a perfect thing, but you can kind of see like, okay, you've got a couple teams up the top there, like EDG and FPX and you know like Billy and Trace and whatever. And you know, as you mentioned, you got like Rare Atom in second and Attacking Solar fifth. And then as you start scrolling down, it's like you start seeing some of these teams that are in, you know, French, like JD Gaming are like 22nd. And you know, you just keep going and going. I mean, even some of those teams that you mentioned, and like Wolves aren't on it, right? Like Wolves aren't even on the ranking system. So like, you know, you got even some of the Ascension teams that you're talking about as well, are like down there, like Four Angry Men are 27th. Keep Best Gaming are 29th, right? So like you can see that there's probably gonna be a big difference between the top and, you know, the bottom. To put it in perspective, the EDG women's team is 14th. You know, above.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. Like that's above quite a few of the franchise teams in terms of like where they're rated here. And honestly, I wouldn't disagree, to be honest, looking at some of those Chinese VODs. But it's definitely going to be a bit of a mess, I think, that Ascension tournament in a way, just because obviously some orgs have dropped out that would have been in it as well. So you know that's obviously going to mess with it a bit also. But I also think it's just in that flux state right now, where obviously you've got teams who are just clearly going to be better than even franchise teams, right? Like not even close. Like Rare Atom are going to be way better than most of the franchise teams, and they've already proven that. Right, like that team has already proven. Other than EDG, we're quite clearly better than everyone other than EDG and maybe FPX. Right, like, and so it's just not gonna. It's just gonna be pretty weird, I think, early on. And then the thing is, if Rare Atom win Ascension, they have to get rid of one of their players. So it's like it's all over the place, and the timing could be very weird as well. Right, like
it starts in a week. The Ascension starts in a week.
But if you're a player, I assume what will happen is that the teams will say, like, if you want to sign for a franchise team, you can, but play in Ascension, right? Is probably how I'm going to guess it will work for most of these players. The teams are going to say, you can leave after Ascension, but just play this tournament. Don't screw us over now.
Right.
Like, don't screw us over now. But then again, maybe that's not how it works.
Maybe some of them
buyout will just.
Yeah, maybe Wolves will just buy all of the Rare Atom players, and Rare Atom will be left with absolutely nothing to qualify.
Yeah, and maybe that will happen, and they'll just get screwed, and it'll just be all over the place. It really could do. I mean, it's going to be bizarre. I mean, Chinese Valorant already is bizarre and all over the place. So
I'm so excited to watch it this year. It's like maybe my most looked forward to league to watch, is just because they're the ones that are doing the weird comps and they're trying weird stuff, and like
They definitely are, and I think it's unfortunate, really, that EDG have gone to this kind of more normal style, because it would have been fun if your leading team, you know, was just up in the air doing crazy stuff. Like we need FPX on top, because whatever the coach and IGL of FPX smoke, it must be some good stuff, because they are all over the place, and a lot of the time, I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't make any sense why they play these comps that they do, and they don't use the comp well at all. But every so often they'll give you a little sprinkle of like, oh, we've actually thought about this one. We're not just playing it just because. And that's why I like them. So go FBX, I guess. That's my takeaway.
I mean, I think, I'm excited.
But to answer your question of like who will win Chinese Ascension, I'm not even sure if you asked that question, but I'm just gonna say right now, Rare Atom will win Ascension, unless they get poached. Yeah.
I mean, I think Attacking Soul could give them a run. Those are the two teams. It's one of those two, and probably nobody else, based on what I've seen.
Yeah. So there you go. There's VCT China. I mean, this is the thing. This time next year, I'll know so much about all these teams. Yeah. I will be like, let's be real. And I think that this was a good example this year as well. Most people in the West didn't know fucking diddly dick about what was going on in Asia, other than DRX and PaperX.
Yep.
No one knew fucking shit about those teams. Even people like me, who was like, who watched a lot of Valorant,
Yeah.
right? Like, other than the teams that went to internationals, you just didn't watch that much of it, right? And I would maybe follow a couple teams, that I saw were doing okay or whatever, right? And like have some idea of how good they were, but like having the Pacific League, it's like I have very clear idea of the takes of all of those players, all of those teams. Like I know what I think about them, like very clearly. And that's what will happen with China next year as well, right? That we'll get there and I'll have a good idea of like, okay, these players are good, these players aren't that good, this team's
Right.
good, all that kind of stuff. But right now, fucking shit show.
Yep. Yeah. And very likely to continue to be one for at least the first half of the year, I would guess.
The games will be like going in a time machine back to 2021. That's what it'll be like, with maybe like better mechanics, but yeah, that's what it'll be like. Anyway, let's move on to a tournament that's going on right now, which you have nicknamed the Tech Pause Tournament. It's called Convergence. There have been a few tech pauses. Indian LANs living up to the name, although I've even heard that it's not really on the organizers' fault, and it's partly on Riot's end as well for things that they've given them, not working and stuff. But I haven't watched all of this tournament. I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched a couple games, but you apparently have been scouring it, sitting through all the tech pauses like a hawk.
Not skipping through it on YouTube, that's for sure. I mean, here's my recommendation. If you're ever going to watch an Indian tournament, and sorry to lump the entire country in this way, but I don't understand why every Indian tournament is just so poorly run. And like, maybe it's not on the tournament organizers like you're saying, but I have not seen a single one run smoothly in like multiple esports. There's always insane tech delays, and I don't get it, because like if you have so many people in your country, I know there's lots of smart people, I know there's tech savvy people, why are they always so poorly run? Please do a better job, because I would love to see the Indian esports scene actually like elevate and become a big part of the conversation. But for some reason, like, despite having so much population and so many people that like gaming, they're just kind of like an afterthought in esports. And to be frank, nobody wants to watch these tournaments because there are 15 to 20 minute like tech pauses almost guaranteed every map, and it's just awful. It's an awful viewing experience. Watch the VODs. That being said, most of these VODs are pretty boring, if I'm being honest. There's pretty clear tier gaps between most of these teams. Vitality, way better than both the teams in their group. Furia, they look fine. They look pretty good, but they're like, I think Furia is kind of like this team that has been stomping these small tournaments in Brazil just purely off of their experience and mechanics, and they finally came up against a team that can match them mechanically and just has better stuff, better strats, because Furia doesn't actually have very good strats. They just have mechanics right now.
They're a classic like 2021 Brazilian team.
Exactly. And then on the other side of the bracket, Group B was Foot, Gen.G, and True Rippers. So it's kind of the same thing, where it's like you just have a team that just has way more experience than anybody else. Like Gen.G was just formed. We still don't really know much about Gen.G. And then True Rippers is an Indian team that actually probably looked a little bit better than Global, if I'm being honest, despite maybe, like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. But the Indian esports scene or the Indian Valorant scene is they're just behind. They're like China, but less interesting in terms of their comps, basically. Like, they're just behind in terms of like how they think about the game. Fundamentally not as good. Foot, I think this is going to be probably a pretty easy win for Vitality, to be honest. I just think that they're
even over Foot.
I think so. I mean,
really,
to me, it seems like Foot is maybe not taking this too seriously. Mm-hmm. At least from some of the plays that I've seen Ed's like jumping out of heaven in a 1v3 where he could save the op, but he's just going for it because who cares? Yeah. And the one thing I will say about Foot is that I'm excited to watch them in VCT this year, because I think it's going to be maybe like a good pullback to like old school Turkish Valorant, where like, sure, maybe the strats are not as good as they could be, but they just all aim and they just all fight. They're kind of like, they're like the Brazil team of the EU region where like they just will fight you and they will just fight you and they will just outshoot you. Putting CNED just full-time Jet again. I don't care. Like, who cares about all his... He went on like a weird sort of, you know, midlife crisis arc when he was on Navi and had to play all these other agents and do all this stuff.
A mid-career crisis. That is
now he's back to just playing Jet on every map, getting the op every single round and just popping off and running through smokes and shooting people. That's what I want to see from Foot. I don't care about the strats anymore.
You know, but I would say that the Foot were kind of the first Turkish team that I think kind of elevated above that last year.
Oh yeah, they're regressing this year. They're regressing and it's going to be awesome.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, last year Foot, you know, had ideas and they were, you know, ahead of stuff as well, right? In terms of some of those ideas. So yeah, okay. But you just think they're just going to go full Turkish mode. But then they could have kept Kiwi if they wanted to do that. Surely, no?
Yeah, but Kiwi is not CNED.
Get rid of your IGL, Mr. Fallen, and just get Kiwi in there and just have everyone aim.
No, don't being serious, I think they'll be pretty good. I think they will be pretty good. I just think that they will be maybe a little bit less flexible than they were last year, which is maybe not saying that much. But I think, in my opinion, they're probably just going to be like, CNED, what do you want to play? And like, he did play Raze.
He's going to say Jet every
yeah,
every minute.
He did play some Raze, which is fine. Like, his Raze is not terrible, but it's not his Jet. And I think they're going to just put him on Jet and put him on the op as much as possible, which is not what Navi was doing.
No, but that still sounds pretty good. I actually think in a LAN like this, I actually think just Foot could win just firepower alone, personally. But maybe that's just me. I don't look. I've said it before. I don't love Sayf on Sentinel. I really don't love it. And it's not that Runner is a bad player. You know, Runner's a good player. I watched him play against Ascend multiple times last year as well, and thought he was a good player then too. But just I don't know. I just feel like you just minimize the impact of like clearly your best player, right? It'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like taking like I'm gonna use a football example here, but it'd be like taking Zinedine Zidane and putting him at right back. Like it's just don't, you know. Or let me use an American example for you. It'd be like taking, you know, Tom Brady and getting him to train to be a punter, right? And just go and punt, right? It's like it just doesn't make any sense, right? Just put your best players in positions to just win you games. And sure, you don't want to rely on people carrying you games. Of course you don't, right? But it just makes the most sense. And I think that, you know, you don't build a Valorant roster to just be purely cracked aimers, right? That's not how the game works. You know, the best teams, that's just not how it's going to work. And that's why players like, you know, a Leo are so valuable, right? Someone who is like super, super talented in his own right, but also in the style that he plays the game suits his role, right? Where he's more passive, right? He's not going to go out and, you know, in a 3v2, he's going to swing out on his own and, you know, try and win the game for you. You know, his play style suits his role. And I think that's, you know, and Sayf has played it before, but I just think it just, so you got one of the best duelists in the world. Just play him on duelist.
This is a debate show, so I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh, shut
up. And here's why.
Well, you're already wrong, man.
Runner, mechanically, is as good as Sayf.
Wow.
Mechanically.
I need to see more before I believe that. But
mechanically.
Go off, King.
Or he's close. Okay? He's close enough where it's not really a downgrade. Purely on mechanics. Decision making, I don't know, whatever. Just on the mechanics side. And because of that, I would much rather have my less experienced, more kind of like maybe less cerebral player on the role that rewards you for just relying on your mechanics and doing stuff kind of instinctually with less thought, more just kind of like, I'm just going to do this play because I can. And meanwhile, you take your very cerebral player who has very good mechanics and you put him on a role that rewards being cerebral, but also allows you to flex your mechanics. Sayf is going to be a Nats or Alfajer level player on Sentinel because he has the mechanics of a duelist like Alfajer does, like Les does, but he's going to be playing the role that allows you just kind of play by yourself and like help your team out with comms and stuff from the other side of the map and still get value. I think there's a huge benefit to having insane mechanics on these support roles, like a sentinel anchoring, like a smokes player, because those roles typically are played by like the less mechanically talented players in a lot of cases, so that when you get the value out of that role, like we saw with like a Penkata or a Marv, you know, when your lurker is the one that's getting 3 and 4Ks constantly, when Alfajer is on a site by himself and people are running at him and he's killing 4 people every round, you just win the game, right? And I think that's what Sayf is going to do for this team.
Okay, I don't necessarily disagree, and I think you bring up a good point, and I think that's fair, right? I guess I just need to see 2 things, right? I'm willing to take an L on this if I'm wrong, like 100%, right? And I could definitely see a world where you are correct, right? I guess I just I'm not gonna base it off this tournament. I know Runner's doing well, but you know, I'll be interested to see when we get to VCT if Runner is still performing at like the level that he has done in the 2 games he played in this tournament. Fair enough, right? And I also need to see like, is Sayf playing too aggressive as a Sentinel, right? I need to see like, is he playing Sentinel, you know, properly, or is he still in, you know, has he still got that duelist brain in him a bit where he's taking, you know, too many fights? You know, he's just getting too aggressive on the other side of the map where he needs to be more patient, that kind of stuff. Those are the 2 things that I need to see. I agree with you that like that's the thing, right? If Runner is that good and is that guy, you know, then it is more like a Fnatic situation where you've already got Durka, so, you know, it's fine, right? You've already got a duelist who's so good anyway that it's fine. Don't worry about it. You've just got now another cracked player, right? If that's the way it is, then I'm willing to concede. I guess just for me right now, I'm just not like, I know Sayf can do it. I just don't quite know yet for certain that Runner can play, you know, at that super high level where we all think he's, you know, like he has to be like a top 3 duelist in EMEA, right?
Yeah.
And if he is that, then fair enough, right?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, if he is that, then Vitality are just going to be insane, probably. Yeah. Like they're just going to be really good. So fair enough. I guess we'll see. I mean, for me, other than Vitality, yeah, Furia, I just think I'm just kind of like, I feel like I already know how Fury are going to do in the year, to be honest. They're going to out-aim the bad teams, and they're just going to be out-thought by the good teams. Like, that's pretty much how it's going to go, I think.
It's Global, literally going to be just like 2021 Brazilian Valorant.
Yeah, like, Global, I mean, they don't play with their full roster, but who knows?
Hey, Global, what if you went out and you picked up RB, Zest, King? I mean, I'm just saying import rules would be fine.
Keep Benkai though. We need to see Benkai in Tier 1. It's a better place with him. I think it's weird that he's not IGLing, but
he's the hype man, and he's the one that gets the strict Korean players to do the weird stuff that they need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and then quickly moving on to Foot and Gen G. Foot, I feel like will be good. I really do. I think Yetajay so far has
he's good.
Proven that he's good. Like good. You know, he's gonna be one of those Sentinel players that can aim. You know, he can aim. And Gen G, honestly, Pacific I think is such a mess. Like, I did the tier list for the Pacific teams today in terms of what I thought of their roster building. And for EMEA, I had like, I think it was like 1 team in C and no teams in D, and like, you know, like a lot in A. For this, I think the most I had was in C tier, like of all the roster construction, because I just feel like there's so many teams that I'm like, is this really the best we could do? And for some, it's different reasons, right? Like for Talon, it's like, why aren't you signing any Thai players? You're the Thai representative. There's enough good Thai players to form a good team. Like there just is, in my opinion. So that was like, I was just annoyed at them for that reason. But like, I just feel, I don't know, like some of these Pacific teams have to be good, is my point, basically.
Right, but who knows which ones they are?
I could not tell you at all who it's gonna be, but someone's gonna, like, you know, in like most off-season things, it's like everyone gets really hyped because you haven't seen it yet. So it's like everyone in the off season is like excited for their new team and feels like they're going to be good. But of course, someone has to finish last, someone has to finish second last, and they're not going to be good. But for Pacific, it's like the opposite effect, where someone has to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be Zeta Division. They're going to be a top 2 team.
Honestly, though, that might be a good example. Like Zeta Division, I feel like are like a middling, okay team, but maybe in Pacific, who knows? That's good enough to make you like the third, second best team.
Yeah,
and you end up looking good. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, let's move on then to our kind of final-ish topic, but this one should take a while. We are going to go through all of, well, not the Chinese teams, but all of the other 3 leagues, Pacific, EMEA, and Americas. And we're going to give them, as it is the holiday season, they're going to get
holidays.
they're going to get either a present from us, right? We're going to give a team a little present, a reward of our choosing, or we're going to give them a New Year's resolution that we hope to see from them next year. So, Elevated, you can start off. We're going to start with the Pacific League, and you've got a great one to start off with, which is Detonation Focus Me.
Okay, so listen. First of all, welcome. My name is Santa Claus. I'm joined by my angry little elf, TMV. I think this one is actually very simple. I'm going to give them a present of their first win. They're going to win a game.
See, if I was doing it for them, I would have said, I have a New Year's resolution for you to win a game. I'm not going to give you that win. No. I'm not sure you'll get it.
They're going to be gifted a win by one of these other teams that we think is like, we don't know. One of these teams, maybe it'll be global, is going to win no games, but it's not going to be Detonation this year. They're going to get a win. That will be my Christmas present to them. And honestly, that's probably a good New Year's resolution for them as well. Win a game.
Okay, I'll go next for DRX, a team that right now is not everyone's favorite. And for that, they're going to get a present.
A present?
But it's going to be the present that the naughty children get. You're going to get some coal in your stocking this year, Termy, for making that change and screwing over 2 beloved players in the scene in RB and Zest. You fucked Zest all of last year. Now you've added RB to your little naughty list. Well, you're on Santa's naughty list this year, Termy. So you can get some coal in your stocking this year. Have that, DRX.
All right. Well, moving on to Gen G. What am I supposed to get this team? I mean, they bring in... Was HSK the coach of Detonation? He was. So they've gifted themselves a coach who went 0-10 last year. And for that reason, their New Year's resolution is to not listen to him. They're going to run their own strats. They're going to run their own protocols. Locky is going to take over. And honestly, my hope is that their New Year's resolution is just don't make any roster moves after the first half of the season. Just stick it out. Just try to improve with what you have.
Okay. The next one is Global Esports for me. I'm going to give them a New Year's resolution of not taking their name so seriously. Like, guys, you don't need to build a team and get as many different nationalities in it as possible. You can build a team and have them be like all the same nationality, or at least like, speak a common language, because this is twice now that you've done this and you've ended up with a team where we got people coming in from Korea. We got people, we got Line Fest for the Indian representation. And then we bring in Benkai and, let's bring in 2 players from EMEA, but Russ doesn't count because, he's got Indian heritage or whatever. You can just build a team. Like, you don't have to go and like just randomly sign, players from all over the place. Like, just find some good players, just find some good players and just go with it. That's all you need to do. And I get it. You kind of want the Indian representation, but maybe they aren't gonna. It's a tough challenge. Russ was like a creative solution to that. Get FNS in. Get FNS. Wait, is he is FNS
He might
have Indian heritage, or is he from somewhere else? I think it might be somewhere else.
if he's Pakistani, then you just committed the
Yeah,
ultimate
that's not
sin.
good. I thought he was, but no, that's just the joke I think that people make, isn't it? What do they call him? The little copy pasta.
Let's move on before the podcast is canceled.
Let's move on. I think that's just the copy pasta, to be honest. I don't think it does. I don't know where it's from, but anyway. RRQ is your next team.
Okay. On the first day of Christmas, my Jemkin gave to me finally a #1 duelist, and everybody will be happy. And Ewok will go into the top half of Pacific. This team will be just the same as last year, where they are pretty good, and sometimes they're trolling. Okay, move on to the next one.
Nice. I thought you said on the first day of Christmas, Jemkin's gonna give me 1 kill instead of 0. I legit thought you were gonna say that, and I was like, man, that's harsh, but you go there. Okay, T1 next for me.
Oh boy, coal for all the Korean teams.
You know what I'm gonna give T1? I'm going to give T1 a crown.
Okay.
Just to remind them that they had King. And it's just going to sit there the entire year and just be a representation of this guy that you signed and then just cut before he ever played for you. That's just going to be what I give T1. It's just a little visual reminder of what they did. You know, like a little scar on them. I'm just going to give them a crown.
That's brutal. Okay, moving on to Talent Esports. What is there to say about Talent Esports?
I'd give him 100 Thieves jersey.
I was gonna say, I mean, my hope, their New Year's resolution needs to be avoid the admins. Don't get caught yelling at the admins again, because of course Frost from 100 Thieves is now their head coach. And Boy, also formerly of 100 Thieves, is their assistant coach. So perhaps their resolution should be to focus on selling hoodies and less on playing Valorant. Because at the very least, they'll come out maybe somewhat profitable. But who knows? I don't know.
Okay, Team Secret next for me. My New Year's resolution for them is to fucking do something. Play in one of these events. You've got what the fuck are you doing? You know, just they're fucking big chilling. Like, you didn't even do anything last year. You know, fair enough. Fnatic taking a long break. What? Fucking play in one of these tournaments, Team Secret. Half of these tournaments are in Asia. Like, you don't even have to go that far.
It's true. Okay, well, moving on to Paper X. This one's easy. They get a present and a New Year's resolution. Their present is just a glass full of whimsy, because they need to restore their supplies. They consume so much of it during the year. They need to restock. And their resolution is just to keep having fun. Just keep smiling, because when they're smiling in the server, they're winning the game.
Enough.
That's it.
Zeta Division for me next. I'll give them a present and a New Year's resolution as well. The present will be a Portuguese to Japanese translation book for Carlau, who's now their coach. Mm-hmm. And their New Year's resolution will be just don't be mid. Just don't be mid. Like, be bad, be good. I don't care which way you go. Just pick a side and be that side. There you go.
Okay. So to finish out Pacific, I'm going to talk about Bleed. And honestly, they get a New Year's resolution and a present as well. Their present is more money, because they get Ascension skins. They get partnered skins as an Ascension team.
True.
So they're going to get a bunch of money, which they can then spend, hopefully, to maybe partially pay for Ye's salary. Mm. And their resolution should just be, just lean into what makes this team good. Lean into enabling Ye. I just want Ye to have an insane year. I'm not even like the biggest Ye fan, but I just really want him to just shut everybody up who's saying he's washed, who's looking at the DSG stuff. I would just love it for him to go, just like start the precedent of a player who has some questions about their, future potential, goes to a team, takes the bag. It's just the American dream. He just goes overseas, gets paid a ton of money to do what he loves, and comes back and just destroys the entire league. #1 player in Pacific next year. That's the resolution.
Okay. We'll move on to EMEA, and I'll start with BBL. And for BBL, the resolution is just fucking be interesting. Just if you play the same style where it's just all fucking aim, no brain, fucking finish. Like again, BBL, I feel like are a team like I
What if
know
they're
where they're
only
gonna
good at
finish.
Ascent again?
They're gonna well, yeah, yeah. That gift should have been you can now ban every map for Ascent. But just don't be that team again who just like, oh, we can out aim the really shit teams, but then as soon as we play anyone else, we're fucking done. Unlucky, we've got no fucking chance. Like, just don't be that team. That's your resolution at BBL. Get better at any other map than Ascent as well, please.
Yeah. So moving on to Fnatic, I mean, I think I'm just gonna give a present directly to Elma Putty.
Hmm.
And it's a couple tickets to a tropical island for vacation because he doesn't have to do shit. He's coming into the best team in the world, and he can just immediately go on vacation, and they'll take care of everything.
Okay, nice. Foot Esports next. For Foot, I'm gonna give them a present. I think I'm gonna give them the present of being the best Turkish org. I'm
Oh,
just gonna give it to them
okay.
because they figured it out. They figured it out. However it was, whoever did it, they came up from tier 2. Kind of on an unknown team, pretty much from before. Did pretty well last year. Much better than BBL, and so I'm gonna give them the present of being the better Turkish org.
Okay. Okay. I'm moving on to Giant, and I actually have a Giant X. Is that like Latin X? Are they like the more politically correct way to refer to giants? Anyway,
Because they're so controversial.
I guess there's a little bit of news to talk about. So Giants has merged with the Org XL, or bought them, or somehow they've merged. I need to bring up this logo. That's kind of what my present is going to center around. Hold up, where do we go? Okay, so they've got a new logo. And I could offer them the present of a new graphic designer. I feel a little bit mean though. So instead, considering that this logo looks an awful lot like Gambit's logo if it was drawn by a toddler, I'm going to gift them the Gambit playbook because they have Redgar being coached by another Russian. This is going to be the new Gambit. They're going to make it to international events, and they are going to get out of group stages. I believe in this team. Let's go Giants X, or whatever they're called.
Okay. Next up, I've got Calming Core. And I'm going to go in a different direction than I think most people think with this one. My New Year's resolution for Calming Core is don't change. Do what you did last year. I know you've got a new roster, and I know that, it looks like it's pretty competent on paper, and it looks like you're kind of doing things the right way. But I'm saying don't do that because it's more fun when there's a team, particularly if it's the same team, right? If we get a second year running
rebuilding their roster.
Yeah, with a completely different roster and new coaching staff. If again Calming Core just turned into this team that was just giga trolling and was just like the laughing stock of the league, that would be quite the story if they somehow managed to do it again. So I'm going to say, for the people's benefit, Calming Core, don't change.
Okay, I like that one. I mean, moving on to Navi, there's only one thing that I can really get this team, and it's just a couple of those, like, the shirts where it's like husband, wife, just Angel and Artist. We just need just some couples merch for Angel and Artist, because this this old married couple is just, they're the truth. And if they don't last, if they don't prove that there's strength in relationships, then love is dead.
Nice. For Team Heretics, I'm gonna give them a gift. I don't know exactly. This probably does have a name, but I'm not a parent. But it's probably something that you can get on a computer that just limits how much Fortnite people can play. So I'm gonna give them a gift of a Fortnite limiter, just to make sure that Benji is not going back to his old ways, right? Just to make sure that he's focusing on Valorant and he's not playing too much Fortnite. That's what your gift is, Team Heretics.
I thought you were gonna give them like a pacifier because they're all children.
That's mean. I wouldn't be mean.
Okay, moving on to Koi. Honestly, I'm giving them the gift of TMV.
I thought you should give them a stopwatch.
I'm giving them the gift of TMV, mauling at them all year long, because they're not going to be any better than last year.
I'm going to focus a lot of my ire on Koi, I think, if they aren't any good. They burnt me last year hard, so yeah, I'm going to... I can see myself making multiple videos about Koi and upsetting people, to be honest. But at this point, you know, the tape is the tape. Don't play bad. If you don't, maybe I should have like a weekly segment of just like the worst Valorant this week and just flame someone. That would be pretty spicy. And just if you don't want to be on it, don't play bad.
Play better.
Play better. That's the tip. Okay, Team Liquid up next. I'm gonna gift Team Liquid a bunch of whiteboards or chalkboards, however you say it. How do you say chalkboard in American?
Chalkboard?
Chalkboards. Yeah. I'm gonna give them a bunch of them so that they can just all, you know, do their writing like Bart Simpson and at the start of The Simpsons, and they're just gonna write, "I will not finish 3rd, 4th place in EMEA," and they're just gonna do lines of that for over and over and over again. That's what I'm gonna get Team Liquid to do.
Okay.
Because they will. You know they will.
They will, for sure. Team Vitality. Honestly, I'm just gonna get them a bigger. They get a present. They just need a bigger facility because they've got 6 coaches and 6 players, so they need a lot more desks, a lot more computers, and they just need a bigger house for everybody to live in. So.
And then finally, Gentle Mates. And you kind of alluded to it earlier on, but I am just going to gift Gentle Mates a different graphic designer because I think that their logo is dog shit. It has, as far as I can tell, 3 different fonts in it. It says Gentle Mates M8, which is not the team name. So as far as I can tell, and even the M doesn't really look like a full M, to be honest. So I have no idea who designed this. I have no idea who approved this. I honestly don't get it at all. And I know some people will be out there and saying, "Oh no, I quite like the Gentle Mates logo." And get your fucking eyes checked if that's you out there, because I think it's a monstrosity and not in a good way. Thoughts elevated on the Gentle Mates logo.
I mean, I think it's kind of cool, but it's not very well.
No, it's horrific.
What would be better if it was like a top hat and a monocle, because that'd be like a real gentleman.
But... yeah, have 2 men in top hats shaking hands, Gentle Mates. That
forming an logo. M. Oh, that'd be
look at that. Really straight away, I've just given you a way better logo than Gentle in tiny letters Mates and then M8. But that's just one mate. That's not even your. Oh, anyway. Let's move on to Americas. You can start. 100 Thieves.
Ooh, 100 Thieves. They get a present and a New Year's resolution. Their present is just give them Boostio. Let's get them an actual team. I need 5 players so that they can start practicing so that they're not so disappointing this year. And the resolution, this actually goes out to Nadeshot. Don't tweet about your players anymore. Just close Twitter while you're watching the game. That is your resolution for 2024.
Okay, Cloud9, I'm gonna give them a gift. I'm gonna give Cloud9 the gift of money. Cause fucking hell, do they need some money? Because you can't just keep cutting all these players that don't deserve to get cut because you haven't got any fucking money. So I'm gonna do like, the kind of thing that your uncle does when, what the fuck do I buy this kid? Don't know. Here's just some money, right? There you go, Cloud9. Enjoy your money.
Okay. Evil geniuses. I mean, surely I'm supposed to just give them coal, right?
Yeah.
But
Not even coal.
Instead, I'm going to give them a time machine so they can go back to the moment that Alex Garfield sold the team and rip up the contract. This team needs to rewind the last 5 or so years of their existence and start from that point. So time machine, whether you believe in Doctor Who or some other form of time travel, Harry Potter's, little spinny thing, whatever. That's what I'm giving them. They're going back to 2018 or whenever the company was sold, and they're not selling the company.
Yeah, seems fair enough. Furia, I don't really know what to do with you, to be honest. You're that kid that no one knows what do you even like? What are you really? That's what Furia are. So I think I'm just gonna give them a New Year's resolution instead, which is prove me wrong, right? Prove me an elevated wrong. Show off some of the greatest strategic developments in Valorant history and impress us. That's your New Year's resolution.
Crew. Oh, my crew. Could gift them a win. They needed a win
regular
last year.
season win.
A regular season win.
Yeah.
Or maybe the resolution should be to lose every game in the regular season again, just so they can do the funniest thing ever and do 2 LCQ runs.
Well, LCQ doesn't exist anymore. I'm just pointing
that's fair. Okay, well, ignore that.
I don't know why it doesn't exist. Oh, by the way, this is a TMV hot take for the future. They won't do LCQ this year. They will next year. They'll change it. The LCQ
content was too good. It was too good.
It'll be back next year. I have a strong feeling about that. Leviathan.
I didn't actually give Crew anything, so I need to give Crew something. Just keep Kesnet happy. Oh, actually, wrong. Wrong. Yeah, Messi. They got their Christmas present early, and it was Lionel Messi giving them money.
Yeah.
Good old
Messi.
Uncle Leo.
Good gift, Messi. Leviathan. My gift to you, Leviathan, is the VCT America's Trophy 2024.
There you
Congratulations.
go. Calling them the best team. I like it.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Okay, I'm moving on to Loud. And for them, they get a resolution and a gift. The resolution is to somehow convince Les to not be a problem child anymore. Because everything that I've heard is that he is hard to work with. And the gift is a permanent, lifelong, death-long contract with Sodok's name on it. Do not allow this man to retire ever. You need him.
Okay, MIBR. Your resolution, MIBR, is to destroy that contract that Elevator just gave to Loud and desperately try to get Sadak so that you can become the best Brazilian team. You take pieces at a time, MIBR. This is the way you do it. You just dismantle Loud from the way in, right? You start off with Fraud. You start off with BZK. Well, you start off with BZK, then it goes to Fraud, and then you bring Sadak, right? And then you start bringing in pieces from Loud until eventually you basically are Loud, just rebranded. That's my New Year's resolution for you, MIBR.
Okay. Moving on to Energy. And this would be a pretty easy, okay, just gift them the death of EG so that Ethan and Demon 1 can come join their team. But in reality, I'm also going to gift them a time machine. They need to go back and rehire FNS. This team needs an IGL really badly. Even if they have Demon 1 and Ethan, they need an IGL.
Wow.
Bring back FNS. Fire Victor and Crashies if you have to. Keep FNS and SOM and start from there.
Wow. That's a crazy one. That's a crazy one. Okay, I got Sentinels. And they got their Christmas gift early as well, which is signing Zellsis as a sub and then quickly realizing that he was the best player that they could have signed. So congratulations, Sentinels. You kind of already got your gift nice and early this year. And my New Year's resolution for them, though, just quickly, is don't fucking change this roster again. For the love of fucking Christ. I don't care if you lose every fucking game in Americas. Just stick with it and see what happens. I know that you won't do that, Mr. Rob Moore. I know you'll fucking change. If you lose 2 games in a row, I know that half this team is changing and Kaplan is on the bus already out of the Sentinels org place wherever he works. But fucking don't do it, Rob Moore. Just fucking don't do it.
Fair enough.
Keep this team together.
Please, for the love of all Valorant fans, just keep this team together. Okay.
No, actually, don't do that. I changed my mind. Do change the team because it's funny.
Chaos
it is very funny. Sign Tarek and Shroud for my views. In fact, I need Tarek to play in a game this year so that I can have a lot of views.
So what you're saying is he's taking all your viewership, otherwise you would be the biggest Valorant streamer in the world.
No, I just will make a YouTube video about Send Tarek playing a game, and the numbers will go crazy.
All right, our last team, G2. I mean, they already kind of got their gift, to be honest. They were gifted a team fully formed and ready to go, and a spot that they were denied earlier. But I'm not going to give them a gift because they've already gotten their presents. Ooh. No more presents. Their resolution is just keep working hard, because I feel like this is a team that is primed to fall off. And the reason for that is because they had to work so hard last year. They had so much against them. There was so much adversity against this team last year that this year, everything is just so like peachy, easy. They have tons of money. These guys are, rumored to be getting paid more than most of the other players in the scene because of G2. They were gifted one of the most talented, flexible duelist players to come in. They have this org backing them. They've got a spot. They're even getting Ascension like partner skins. Everything's going well for this team. And this is a team that has proven that they thrive under adversity. But now that everything's easy, I'm really curious to see how they look this year. And I hope that they just keep working hard, because I like this team and I would like to see them succeed, but I could also see them kind of taking their foot off the gas a little bit, and that would be a bad idea.
And also for G2, there's a potential bigger present coming from Daddy Riot if EG drop out. There's a potential big present.
Yep.
Maybe waiting for them, but we'll have to see. Okay, that was the Christmas gifts / New Year's resolutions for each of the teams. I think it went pretty well. I think we were quite nice there on the whole. I think only 2 teams. Well, actually, only DRX got Cole in the end because you gave EG.
Deservedly so, though.
Yeah, you gave EG the time machine. So yeah, not much Cole this year. Most of these orgs have been good enough, I suppose. I wouldn't say most of them have been good. I think that's a stretch, but good enough to not.
They weren't completely on the naughty list, I guess.
Yeah, they were in that middle list. I always wonder. I'm sure it has happened that a kid has asked, well, I feel like I've been kind of in between. so what happens? I've never really thought about that. As a kid, I wasn't smart enough to think about that, but I'm sure it's happened. Let us know in the comments down below if as a kid you thought you were on the in-between, the naughty and nice list, and what happened to you, and what was your parents' response to that? Let us know. And
I have one last question, last topic. I guess I'm just kind of curious. What are you looking forward to or hoping out of the 2024 season?
By the end of the season.
What does your ideal 2024 season look like? What do you want to see from the Valorant scene?
My ideal 2024, there's a couple things already that come to mind. One I'm hoping for agents that actually make a difference in terms of, the meta or just like Gecko is interesting, I think. So like I was cool with Gecko, but ISO and Deadlock.
It'd be kind of fun to just have a super broken agent released into the game at this point.
Yeah, that might be. Well, it depends exactly what it did, but yeah, I could agree to an extent on that. So yeah, that's kind of one. That's a New Year's resolution for Riot. Make better agents. Two, I obviously would love to see teams like I would love to see ways the game advancing that I didn't foresee. Right? I feel like a lot of the stuff so far, yeah, like a good example would be the light shield meta, that kind of came out of relative nowhere, but really does change the game, right? I think that stuff like that is really interesting. I feel like most of the developments that you could kind of see are kind of, they're like slight improvements of utility usage. Like, alt orbs was one that I had been banging on a drum for a while, and the fact that I was ahead of teams on that is fucking mental to me. And should have never been the case, really. But teams have started farming alt ups. That's good. But not all of them, which kind of still is a problem. But we'll get there eventually. But yeah, I want to see something change the game that I just have not even thought about, right? And I'll be interested to see if that happens. And then I guess I just want to see, really good tournaments. I feel like the tournaments last year were okay. But I mean, we got a great final and lock in. But other than that, it was kind of like, they were good. I enjoyed them, but I feel like 2022 was like, whoa, this is fucking insane. Like every tournament was like, whoa, this is fucking insane. And there was many insane like games and maps that happened in 2022 that I feel like we just didn't quite get. And maybe that was partly, Fnatic's dominance somewhat maybe had a part to play in that. But I feel like there wasn't as many of those crazy games. So I hope for that, more of a kind of 2022 thing. And yeah, what do you think? What are you looking forward to or hoping that happens in 2024?
Pretty simple, honestly. I hope that the Premier system gives us some really interesting storylines. I would love to see a team of free agents just like take over the challengers scene. I think that'd be really, really cool.
The TMV kittens.
Exactly. I know there's a lot of talent out there, and it would be super cool to just see some people like earn their way into the spotlight and just show that like, oh, okay, just because you're signed to a team doesn't mean that you're the best player in the league. Like, so that's number one. Number two, please just give us a replay client for the love of God. Like, if you want this game,
my life a lot easier.
If you want this game to progress, both in terms of the content that's being made and also in terms of the level that it's being played at a professional level, you have to give us a replay client. It is the most important thing that Riot can do to make this game better for everybody. Because if I can go in to Les's POV to see exactly how he plays when two people are hitting his sight and see his decision making from his eyes, that is infinitely more valuable than watching or making or analyzing 75 replays of Loud and just staring at the minimap. Like, that's the only thing I want. I just want a replay client, and I hope that there's some good storylines out of Premiere. And yeah, it would be cool to see, a little bit more, I guess maybe like overall parity between the teams. Cause I think that's one of the things that was missing this last year, is that we had like a very top heavy. There's like 4 teams that are way better than everybody else, basically. Yeah. And that was kind of expected because the partnership system made everything so chaotic. And based off of this offseason, I don't know that it's going to be any better, but I certainly hope so.
Yeah, that seems fair. And replay viewer would just be a game changer. I can't tell you how many custom games I've gone into just to try and find a lineup that I saw on the map, but like it never got shown on a replay, or like only one team is doing it. So, so I have to just try and find it.
I mean, here, I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit. Excuse my very messy room. There's my laptop right next to my PC, so that I can have 2 accounts in a custom game, so I can check lineups and recreate stuff that is being shown not on the screen. Like, this person walks over here and there's this utility is being thrown, so now I have to go into a custom game with one account and then another account, and then I have to have this one be the observer. It's awful. Recreating stuff is so time consuming for content. It makes me not want to make videos that I have to do this for like 80% of the stuff that happens in these rounds.
Yeah, that sucks. And yeah, a replay viewer would be a big game changer just in terms of all of the content really that got made about this game. And hey, there's rumors that it's coming at some point.
Right? But hopefully not the one that they showed in China, which is literally just like Eclipse.
Yeah. Well, Eclipse. We can hope, but
yeah.
I mean, if they do that, oh my god! There's no way, there's no fucking way they do that, right? There's no fucking way that they reveal like, hey guys, here's our replay viewer, and it's just like you can now create clips of Valorant. Like, there's no fucking way that they would do that. They're not that stupid, surely. They're not that stupid.
Hopefully not. All right, and that's the end of episode 16. Have a good holidays, everybody. Have a good holidays, TMV.
I'll try.
We'll see you next year.
What do we do? Win! How do we do it? Fight! Who are we? Ascend!